oh my gosh, this little Cessna 150 that I learned to fly. I had so much fun flying that little airplane.
Without risk, nothing new ever happens. Not just words, Rose Dorcey lives them. Rose is courageous, supportive, and creative. She is strong and independent, shares her passion with others, is a positive influence. And she encourages and assists young women to reach their aviation goals. Rose is a wife, a sister, and a mother. She is a writer, editor, and historian, and steps up to any challenge. She proves there is no limit as to what you can accomplish. Since she was bitten by the flying bug, Rose has been an important figure in Wisconsin aviation. Her accomplishments are many and have been recognized by numerous aviation organizations. Through Rose's leadership and tireless efforts, the Wisconsin Aviation Hall of Fame has brought past, present, and future together, making it a positive and influential organization in the aviation community. Rose is simply an unstoppable force.
I grew up in the small village of Buren, population 771 while I was growing up, and went to Buren Elementary School, a very small village school. And so while I was growing up, I lived near a cranberry marsh, and I would see the crop dusters in spring or in fall, and I was so fascinated with those crop dusters because they were big and loud, and they would swoop down low, and it was so exciting to watch that. And I didn't think of it at the time that, someday I'm going to fly airplanes, but when I did, it all came back together. It's like, oh my gosh, I really, was affected by watching those airplanes. So when I was about, I'd say 20 years old, I was working with a young man who was working on his private pilot certificate, and he kept saying, come on out to the airport. And I was I would drive by the airport every once in a while, and all I would see were all these guys out there, and I just didn't feel comfortable stopping at the airport. But about 10 years later, on my 30th birthday, I took my very first flight lesson. And I immediately fell in love with flying. I was so excited. I don't know if I really thought I was going to get the private pilot certificate, but all I knew is I wanted to go up. I wanted to fly over my hometown. I wanted to see where I lived and where I grew up, and I wanted to see those cranberry marshes and see what a beautiful city Wisconsin Rapids is from the air. But by the time I had that city tour, basically, I knew I wanted to get my private pilot certificate. I loved everything that I learned about flying. I loved the navigation, and I loved the weather, and the terminology, and everything about it was so great, so exciting. I was involved in the motorcycle racing, I also was writing race reports and sending them to various magazines and motorcycle newspapers, and that was a really fun thing to do. I loved writing, and that was a wonderful transition into a position at EAA when I worked in publications for Sport Aviation magazine. That was a wonderful experience. Whether it was history or whether it was flying or whether it was the benefits of aviation to a community. I did some presentations for like Rotary clubs and things like that because I just thought it was really important in my own community, but also all over the state. It was good for the Aviation Hall of Fame because people became more aware of us, and oftentimes we would share history. But what was even better is people would come and talk to us afterwards, and they would tell us about aviation stories in their own communities, or they would tell us about people who eventually became inducted into the Hall of Fame, and we had no idea. We hadn't heard of their name before. So that was a great benefit of doing those presentations throughout the state. I started getting more interested in getting back into flying again, and so I thought no better way to immerse myself back into aviation than getting the instrument ratings. So I started training in Wisconsin Rapids, and but then I met a new flight instructor, my husband John, and he said, well, why don't we do some, highly immersive training, and let's take 10 days, and we're going to study every day, we're going to fly every day. So at the end of 10 days, I think John and I had about 43 hours of flying time in 10 days, and ended up getting the instrument rating then in 2002. So a number of years ago, John and I decided that we wanted to do a big challenge. So we thought, well, what would be a fun thing to do? Let's do a challenge. And so we decided we wanted to go to every Wisconsin county with a public use airport. Not necessarily every airport, but every county that had a public use airport. We went to, I think it was 60 airports. And we did it in 4 different flights, and we did the 4 different quadrants of the state. But it was really stopping and talking to people along the way, and strengthening some ties with people. You develop relationships when you have a shared passion, and when you do something like that, to be able to talk to people, it was wonderful.
For 35 years, the Wisconsin Aviation Hall of Fame has been honoring the men and women who have made, and in many cases continue to make, significant contributions to aviation in our state and nation.
And then along with the flying, when I first met John, he said that he was part of an organization called the Wisconsin Aviation Hall of Fame, and they were looking for a new board member, and asked if I might be interested. And I was interested in it because I wanted to learn. I love history, but I did eventually become the president of the organization.
From the moment I first met Rose Dorcey, I was impressed with the sincere way she addressed things. The sparkle in her eye was reminiscent of the first ray of sunshine on a gray, overcast day. She has a passion that is seldom seen these days, and her drive and spirit allows her to get things done quickly and completely. Being married to a flight instructor, it was only natural that she would end up a pilot, first receiving a private pilot's license and then receiving an instrument ticket. She has persevered through things that most of us could never imagine, and she did it with style and grace. After 12 years as president of WAHF and the work she has done, congratulations, Rose. You've earned your spot of honor.
I was hoping I could just help the organization grow, offer benefits to the members, and make it a really good experience for anyone who would support the organization. We started the magazine Forward in Flight, which was a great member benefit for all the members. And one of the best parts of being involved with the Wisconsin Aviation Hall of Fame for so many years was knowing how much it meant to the families who their loved ones became inducted into the Hall of Fame and received that great honor. It just gives me chills right now thinking about all the people who have been inducted and they became friends to us. It just meant so much to them, and it felt really good to play that little tiny part of making sure that they were honored in the way that they deserved.